Super nasty sex lives of nuns throughout history. Throughout history, nuns have often been perceived as the embodiment of chastity, purity, and spiritual devotion. Their lives entirely detached from worldly desires. Cloistered behind convent walls, they are thought to be immune to the temptations that plague the rest of humanity. But what if this image of nuns as the epitome of saintliness is in fact a misconception? What if the lives of some nuns were far more complex, with their experiences as varied and nuanced as those of the secular world? Hello and welcome back to Eccentric History. Today we will introduce you to some of the lesser known stories that challenge the conventional perception of nuns and their unwavering commitment to celibacy. But before we do so, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Before we uncover each of the untold stories which portray a strikingly different image of nuns and thus make us question our beliefs about their unwavering spiritual fidelity, let's try to understand the historical context of this concept. The practice of celibacy with religious orders has its roots in ancient times, with origins tracing back to the early Christian church. Celibacy was initially encouraged as a means to devote oneself entirely to God and the church, free from the distractions of marriage and family life. Over time, the vow of abstinence became an integral aspect of religious life, particularly for nuns who were often expected to embody the highest standards of saintliness and spiritual devotion. During the early Christian period, women were drawn into religious life as it offered them an alternative to the traditional roles of wife and mother. Convent served as a space for spiritual, intellectual, and creative growth, providing opportunities for women to learn, teach, and contribute to the development of religious communities. As early as the 4th century, we find examples of devout women such as Saint Macrina the Younger, who established a religious community for women in Cappadocia. However, the expectations placed on nuns and their adherence to chastity varied across different time periods and religious orders. By the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church began to formalize the rules and regulations governing the lives of nuns, emphasizing the importance of celibacy. With the establishment of monastic orders such as the Benedictines in the 6th century and the Cistercians in the 11th century, the pledge to abstinence became even more firmly entrenched within religious life. Nuns were expected to remain chastity not only as a symbol of their commitment to God, but also to maintain the integrity and reputation of their religious communities. Convents were often physically isolated, with high walls and strict regulations to limit contact with the outside world, particularly with men. But despite these expectations and restrictions, the forthcoming historical accounts that challenge the image of nuns as completely chastity and detached from worldly desires reveal the complexities of human nature and the diverse experience of women in religious life. Sister Benedetta Carlini. One intriguing case that challenges the conventional perception of nuns as paragons of chastity is that of Sister Benedetta Carlini, an Italian mystic nun who lived during the 17th century. Born in 1591, Benedetta joined the convent of the Theatine Nuns in Pescia at a young age. By her early 20s, she gained notoriety for her claims of experiencing religious visions and having a special relationship with Jesus Christ. As her fame grew, she was eventually appointed as the Abbess of the convent, a position that granted her significant power and influence. However, Sister Benedetta's world would soon be shaken by a series of scandalous revelations. In 1619, she claimed to be experiencing a series of mystical marriages with Christ, during which she would enter a trance-like state and exhibit signs of divine possession. It was during these episodes that she claimed to receive messages directly from God. As the religious fervor surrounding Sister Benedetta intensified, the Catholic Church launched an investigation into her claims, suspecting that she might be a fraud or under the influence of demonic forces. The investigation, led by a panel of theologians, discovered a shocking secret. Sister Benedetta had been engaging in a sexual relationship with another nun, Sister Bartolomea Crivelli, under the guise of being possessed by an angel named Splenditello. It was revealed that Benedetta had convinced Bartolomea to participate in these acts, claiming that they were divinely sanctioned. The scandal sent shockwaves through the religious community, casting doubt on Benedetta's visions and ultimately leading to her arrest. Therefore, the case of Sister Benedetta Carlini serves as a compelling example of the complex and often contradictory nature of human desires and experiences, even within the confines of religious life. Marria Firrao's infamous convent. Marria Firrao's infamous convent, often referred to as the Convent of Monza, provides a striking example of a religious institution that became the centre of a scandalous web of sexual and political intrigue. The story took place in the late 17th century in the Italian town of Monza and revolved around the figure of Sister Virginia Maria de Leyva, a nun who belonged to an aristocratic family. As the illegitimate daughter of a nobleman, Virginia was forced into the convent at a young age as a means to protect her family's reputation. The scandal began when Sister Virginia engaged in a love affair with a local nobleman named Gian Paolo Ossio, who was known for his violent and criminal behaviour. Ossio managed to gain access to the convent through a network of underground tunnels and frequently met with Sister Virginia for their clandestine rendezvous. Their relationship resulted in the birth of 2 children who were secretly spirited away from the convent to protect the reputation of Sister Virginia and her lover. As the scandal grew, the convent became a hotbed of licentious behaviour, involving several other nuns and members of the local nobility. The situation reached a boiling point when Ossio murdered a rival suitor and was subsequently arrested. The ensuing trial exposed the shocking truth about the convent of Monza, leading to the imprisonment of Sister Virginia and the disbandment of the religious community. Thus, the Convent of Monza scandal is a testament to the diverse experiences of nuns throughout history and the human side of these women who struggled to balance their spiritual commitments with their personal desires. The Theatine Nuns of Venice, 17th century. In the 17th century, the Theatine Nuns of Venice were embroiled in a scandal that would once again challenge the image of nuns as paragons of chastity and poisonous. This particular convent was established in the early 1600s and, like many religious institutions, was expected to adhere to strict guarantees of purity and obedience. However, the convent soon became notorious for its licentious behaviour and the scandalous lives of its inhabitants. Rumours began to circulate that the Theatine nuns were engaging in a range of sinful activities, including hosting extravagant parties and entertaining male guests in their private chambers. These allegations were fueled by a series of anonymous letters and pamphlets that circulated throughout Venice, detailing the supposed debauchery taking place within the convent walls. One account even claimed that the nuns were secretly operating a high-class brothel for the city's elite. The scandal surrounding the Theatine nuns eventually caught the attention of the Catholic Church, which launched a series of investigations to uncover the truth behind the allegations. Despite the Church's efforts to suppress the scandal, the stories of the Theatine nuns continued to captivate the public imagination, serving as both titillating entertainment and a stark reminder of the potential hypocrisy within religious institutions. The Abbess of Port-Royal-des-Champs, 17th century. Another intriguing account of the complexity of nuns' lives and the scandals that occasionally surface from their communities may be found in the Abbess of Port-Royal-des-Champs, a well-known convent in France from the 17th century. This particular convent was part of a larger Port-Royal Abbey, a well-known centre of Jansenism, a theological movement within Catholicism that emphasised original sin, human depravity, and the necessity of divine grace. Despite its reputation for austerity and spiritual devotion, the convent was plagued by a scandal involving its abbess, Angelique Arnauld. Born into a prominent French family in 1591, Angelique Arnauld was appointed as the Abbess of Port-Royal-des-Champs at the young age of 11, largely due to her family's influence. Over time, she became a fervent advocate of Jansenism and implemented a series of reforms aimed at promoting a more austere and pious way of life within the convent. However, her efforts to maintain a strict and disciplined environment would be challenged by the arrival of a charismatic and controversial figure, Jean de Saint-Cyran. Saint-Cyran, a prominent theologian and a close friend of Angelique's brother, began visiting the convent regularly and soon became a spiritual advisor to the community. Over time, their relationship deepened and rumours began to circulate that the two were engaged in a romantic affair. While there is no definitive evidence to support these claims, the close emotional bond between Angelique and Saint-Cyran was undeniable, and their relationship was the subject of much gossip and speculation. The life of the Abbess of Port-Royal-des-Champs and her connection with Jean de Saint-Cyran show the rigorous obedience to the vows of virginity and spiritual piety was not always a feature of nuns' lives. The Mistress of Novices ordered nuns to sleep with her. One particularly shocking example of a scandal involving the nasty sex lives of nuns comes from a case in the 18th century, when the Mistress of Novices in a French convent reportedly ordered the young nuns under her charge to sleep with her. This case provides a chilling insight into the darker side of convent life and the potential for abuse of power within religious institutions. The convent in question was reportedly plagued by a culture of corruption and moral decay, with its leaders engaging in illicit relationships and exploiting their position of authority. The Mistress of Novices, responsible for the spiritual guidance and education of the young nuns, was at the centre of this scandal. She allegedly abused her position to satisfy her own sexual desires, coercing the young nuns into engaging in sexual acts with her. When the scandal eventually came to light, the repercussions were severe. The authorities launched an investigation into the matter, and the Mistress of Novices was ultimately stripped of her position and expelled from the convent. The case exposed the vulnerability of young nuns to abuse and manipulation within the confines of the convent, as well as the broader issues of corruption and moral decline within religious institutions. This is yet another scandal that further challenges the image of nuns as completely chastity and detached from the worldly desires. And that's all we have for you today. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, and we'll be back again soon.